Welcome to today's episode of the Simply Financial podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Calandra. I want to increase your financial IQ today. I want to talk about inflation, but not big picture inflation this time around. I know that has captured this country's attention. It is the central economic issue in 2022 and probably will continue into 2023 at the very least. But today I want to talk to you about less obvious ways that inflation is costing all of us money. There are creative ways that businesses increase their revenue, but these are ways that they may not be charging you more exactly. These things that I'm going to talk about, mainly shrinkflation, can be small, but they definitely add up and are notable, especially when you add them all together. So my purpose in talking about this today is to make you aware of these trends so that you could be a better consumer and perhaps a little smarter with your money. I just mentioned shrinkflation. That's the key thing I want to talk to you about today. There's a few others, but shrinkflation is the major one. This is the practice where businesses may not change the price of a good or could be a service, but they do shrink, provide a smaller portion so that in essence, you're paying more or the same for less. So let me give you a few real life examples of shrinkflation that I've seen and read about that has happened so far this year. One of them is Gatorade. And I know this because my son's 16 years old. He's an athlete and he drinks quite a bit of Gatorade. Gatorade reduced their serving size from 32 ounces down to 28 ounces. So that's a 4-ounce decline, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but that's a 14% drop. So if they don't change their price, you're getting 14% less, which is sort of, even though you're not spending more money, is a 14% increase because you're getting so much less. Another item is Doritos. Now, I try and eat healthy and live a healthy lifestyle, but I do love Doritos, especially the spicy, sweet chili Doritos. That's my favorite. But they reduced, Doritos did, from 9.75 ounces down to 9.25 ounces. So that's a pretty good decline. A couple of others, and there are many, many examples that I could have pulled out, but I just want to give you a flavor of what you see. Kellogg's family size cereal, the size portion went down by 21%. Walmart has great value paper towels. There used to be 168 sheets. It's now down to 120 sheets. That's a 16.6% decline in the number of sheets. Walmart, at least as of the date of this recording, I don't believe reduced their price or increased their price. So again, another illustration of spending more and getting less. Another way you see this, if you eat out, you may have noticed that portion sizes at restaurants have decreased. Oftentimes you're seeing prices higher than they used to be also, but that is very often accompanied by smaller portion size, where if it used to be 10 wings, it might be 8 wings now. And Domino's, the at-home delivery, it's not a pizza chain anymore because they do so many other things, but they recently reduced the serving size of their wings from 10 to 8. So you see this a lot in restaurants too. And I think out at a restaurant, it might be a little bit easier to visualize it compared to the Gatorade size change. I know another example I'll throw out there. My wife, one of her favorite meals is linguine and clam sauce, white linguine and clam sauce. And she stopped ordering it out, generally speaking, because there's not much in the way of clams in the linguine and clam sauce anymore compared to what it used to be. So those are some examples of shrinkflation. So we all know the prices are going up. We see that. It's very demonstrable. but also know that businesses are working to increase their revenue by reducing their portion size. And I want you to just be aware of this trend. A couple of other smaller examples I want to give about this less obvious way inflation is costing us money is making tips mandatory. A lot of businesses, including restaurants, have taken a new approach where they make tips mandatory. I think maybe in some instances, the business keeps some of those tips and may not share it with their workers. I don't know that to be true, but I have a sense that that might be happening in some instances. Another is charging more for credit card purchases. We've seen this for a number of years at the gas pump where you pull up, you get gas. There's often two prices quoted, one for cash, one for credit card. That's been around for a while. You're starting to see that in other places too, where they will charge you more to use a credit card, and they are trying to recoup the cost that they have to pay to the credit card provider. They're trying to pass that cost along to you. So keep an eye on that. Going back to the making tips mandatory, one important thing I forgot about that is be careful when you eat out. I've been in a number of situations where the bill comes, I pay by credit card, there's a line for me to put in a tip, and I consider myself a good tipper. When I was in college and high school, I worked in a lot of restaurants, and I'm inclined to do a tip. But you need to look closely because in some instances, they've already put the tip into the total that you're looking at. So if you want to give an extra tip on top of the mandatory 18 or 20%, that's fine. But don't do it without being aware that there's already a tip even before you fill in the tip line. So I should have said that earlier. I'm glad I doubled back. I mentioned charging more for credit card purchases. Keep an eye on that. The last thing I'll say is add-on pricing. Airlines have been doing this for a while where you pay for a ticket, but then there's other charges for baggage, for seating, for boarding. You're starting to see that in more instances around the economy where you look at a headline price and it might gain your attention, but then when you look closely and you consider all of the other line item add-ons, the price may not have been as appealing once you wrap everything together. So take a look at that. Be aware of that. I want you to be a smart consumer. I'll be back with you on the next episode of the Simply Financial podcast very soon. Thanks for listening today, and check out my website, elliottwealth.com. Thank you.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of SagePoint Financial Incorporated and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of the information provided at these websites, nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management, LLC, not affiliated with SagePoint Financial.